Consider the subtleness of the sea, how its most dreaded creatures glide underwater, unapparent for the most part, and treacherously hidden beneath the loveliest tints of azure. Herman Melville. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Kingsport 1851, our ongoing return to the fishy world of American whaling and the heart of the American nightmare at sea. This is volume 2 of that story, and it's been really good so far. I'm really looking forward to getting back on board tonight. So why don't I introduce my phenomenal cast? Let's start first with Dorian, who's playing Angus Mallinson, our Strider and Outcast.
Hi, yes, I'm Dorian. I'm playing Angus. Both of our characters both my character and myself use he and him pronouns. I am recovering from illness, so I may not be all here tonight, but that may be all the better for some of the turns that the story is taking. Last time, Angus got into a bit of trouble, which was immediately eclipsed by the much weirder and more alarming trouble that the captain got into. So we'll see how that plays out.
Hey, everything's going to be fine. And once again, we all appreciate you being able to make it tonight and wish you a quick and even more healthful recovery. So let's go next to someone I've had the pleasure of playing with quite a bit lately, and it is an extreme pleasure. Tonight, we will not be revisiting our troubled sapphic romance that we're doing in another game, but let's introduce Marissa, who's playing Lilith Belvedere, our scholar and believer.
Hi, everybody. I am playing Lilith Belvedere as advertised, she, her pronouns. I also use she, her pronouns. Lilith is a tall and willowy young woman with sharp, appraising eyes of lightest gray, who's often found clad in silks of someone befitting a very noble personage and not someone normally found on a whaler. And that's just the start of her. She is kind of part marine biologist, part theorist, and part fiction writer. She most recently finds herself quarantined effectively with the captain in the captain's quarters due to her involvement in the death of the son of another whaling captain who we encountered that happened by Clement's hand in the boat. So we are going to find out what happens next, I suppose, this episode.
It's only mutiny if it's illegal. So, well, next is a guy. I think the proper term to use nowadays would be just like comrade in arms. Justin, we've been adventuring together for many years at this point. It's always a pleasure to have him at my table. So let's welcome Justin, who's playing Eamon Whistler Burns, our old sea dog and kinsman.
Hey there, everyone. I'm Justin, he, him player, he, him character. I'm the first mate on the ship, and it's good to know that technically what I did doesn't count as mutiny. I'm just being responsible and totally didn't do anything illegal that's going to give me the death penalty.
I mean, there's the rules of the sea.
Yes.
And you're the old sea dog, so probably whatever you say goes.
Yes. Yes.
So I certainly don't know all the rules of the sea. We're going to have to play to find out what happens here. And finally, the aforementioned still technically captain of the Calypso, someone I am always extremely happy to have at the table, and someone who is that rare Kingsporter who has played it in multiple systems. Please let's welcome Sarah, who's playing Clement Thorne, our captain and lover.
Hello, Sarah, she, her, playing Clement, he, him. I was only acting on advice last time. You know, it's not my fault. Really, it's his fault. But yeah, had a very interesting dream. Met my still current love. He expressed some regrets about the fact that I'd killed him. But did give me a gift of a harpoon, which, following love's advice, I used to kill a guy who was having visions of God, maybe, unclear. It'll all work out, I'm sure. But yeah, currently confined to quarters. Thanks, Captain Whistler. Acting Captain Whistler.
We'll see how long that lasts. I'm sure everything will go well. So maybe it's just my general abhorrence at cliffhangers, but I'd rather not pick up right in the minute that we left after. So I'm thinking maybe early morning, Eamon. Let's say that it wouldn't be your watch, but you have to be there now to dismiss the watch and maybe explain to the mates just what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
So do you want to do the thing with Angus first and then talk and then get the mates together?
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
I
what
will.
order do you tackle stuff right now?
Oh, my first order of business is you, Angus.
All right.
So it is very early in the morning. I have not slept. I am in a fouler mood than normal.
Yeah, I've been waiting.
Yeah. Angus, with me. And I
Mr.
just start
Burns?
heading to the bow of the ship. You lot, clear out. I need a moment alone. As soon as, whoever happens to be at the bow leaves, I pull in very close, uncomfortably close to Angus. All right. Now what you did was crossing a line. It was stupid. You should have talked to people first. Should ask questions.
I'll take that into consideration.
Fine. But what you also did was selfless, and you tried to save a man's life, and I appreciate that all the same, especially with what's going on. You need to be punished, but we need work being done too. So here's what you're gonna do. You're going to check everything today. Every single casket of ale we have, every single barrel of water, every single bit of food stuff we have. You're going to check it thoroughly. Every single piece. I need to know if anything's rotten. I need to know if there's mold growing on anything. I need to know what's spoiled and what's going to be spoiling soon. Something's gone wrong. The captain, Phoebe, Lilith, they've taken ill. Bad. They're confined to quarters. The captain's
What
quarters.
sort of illness?
Well, they've been acting mad, if you ask me. The kind of things they're raving about in captain's quarters and the things they're doing to people in there ain't right. Prefer not to get too into it now. I'm not looking to tarnish reputations. They're most likely sick. I've seen people get a bit mad at sea even without nature helping it along.
Angus raises his eyebrows a bit, but he doesn't push on this.
But what I need to be knowing is, if there's anything on this ship that's going to make someone ill that they could be exposed to. If the whole crew starts getting sick, look around you. Where are you going to find a doctor?
Pardon. My understanding was we did have a surgeon.
Oh, aye, but sometimes the surgeon be coming down with a bit of a cough too. And right now, I don't know if the surgeon's going to be able to do anything for this lot. This is not any kind of ailment I've ever seen before. But then again, I'm not one of the science types. So, I'll talk to the surgeon. I'm going to have to talk to the crew. While the captain's taken ill, that means I'm in charge. So, you're going to start looking, and you're going to report back to me directly. Anything that seems a bit odd. I don't care if there's a bit of mold on someone's shoe. I want to know about it. And if you find anything, Eamon just looks around again. You find anything strange beyond mold and mildew and something germy, you find any, I don't know, bizarre items, strange, uh,
Weird
weird
shit.
artifacts, something like that, you bring it to me too. People on the ship have been acting weird with these kinds of things. For all we know, might be where the madness is coming from as well.
Yes, I have noticed. Well, I assume it's been an unusual voyage.
It's been a strange
Certainly,
one.
it's been an unusual experience from my perspective.
From my perspective, it's been downright weird. I mean, there's always something new you encounter on each voyage. But yeah, this takes the cake. So,
Well, it's good
you
to know it's not just my being green.
no, it's not just that. This has been a strange voyage. Started off strange, it's continuing to be strange. I might worried it might get a bit stranger. And
And I'm to
so,
check the entire ship?
oh aye. Except the captain's quarters. Like I said, they're confined, and if what they have may just spread, last thing we need is someone else coming down with a mad fever.
That's probably wise.
Hi. But everywhere, start from the crow's nest and work your way to the bottom of the boat. I don't care if you have to count every barnacle on its arse. You do it.
I'll do it.
Aye. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go make enemies with everyone on the ship.
Angus sort of half smiles at that, and then turns to get started on what seems like quite a large task. So,
Oh, aye.
So, would you want the surgeon there too?
Probably wise.
All right. So up on the quarterdeck, gather the mates and the harpooneers and the surgeon, and Mr. Dana is. Excuse me, Mr. Burns, but the captain, where is he?
The captain has been confined to quarters until further notice. He's taken ill.
So
Himself,
rhubarb.
yeah. Himself, Phoebe, the good doctor, Lilith there, and unfortunately, the young lad we brought on the other day from the other boat, he has already passed, and the other three are sick in a way that I have never seen before.
So Elias, the kid who was related to the ship's owner, is just like sick in a way you have not seen before, sir.
Oh, aye. When I've seen plenty of people who get a fever and they start raving a bit, but they're doing that plus acting in strange ways, two ways I prefer to keep private for their own reputations. They're not of right mind, and I wouldn't want rumors and gossip spreading about them.
Well, sir, this is a Kingsport boat. We're inclined to eccentricity.
I understand. I have a soft spot for the sick, and when I went and checked on them yesterday to discuss some ship business, it was clear that a lot of them were not of right mind and not of right body.
Do you fear it's contagious, sir?
I don't know. I'm going to have the surgeon take a look at them, and it'll be up to the surgeon to determine that. But until the surgeon does, they are confined to quarters, and no one is to approach the captain's quarters at all. I have people checking the ship now to make sure that this isn't just a case of spoiled food or water. And we're going to see if we can track down what has caused this malady. Hopefully, it isn't anything that will spread. But don't go, whipping yourselves up into a frenzy. We don't know, and until we do, We keep on doing what we do. If you're feeling heart and healthy, you still have tasks to complete.
So we will continue on the voyage, sir.
Aye, we're gonna go to Cape Town.
What? Rhubarb.
Aye, there's still plenty of time. And if we run across any whales, we're gonna do what whalers do, now aren't we? Damn right. I don't expect a bit of idleness on this boat just because some of us have a cough.
Mr. Burns, going to Cape Town will add weeks, if not months, onto the journey.
Oh, aye, and we might have people who might not be with us anymore if we don't
Well,
do
if we're
that.
late to the Japanese grounds, we'll have to chase the whales all across the Pacific.
Then we'll have to go and pick off the stragglers this time around. I'm sorry that this isn't going
The
according to
captain
plan.
is sick. That's dreadful, but sailors get sick, sir.
Oh, aye, but we have multiple people sick all at once, and if this spreads to the whole damned crew, this is just going to become a ghost
Well, I
ship now,
can't see
isn't
where
it?
putting it to Cape Town will help. They'll just quarantine us in harbor.
We're gonna make we have to go around the horn, don't we?
Yes, but I was sure that the captain would take the normal course and not come within 100 miles of the Cape of Good Hope.
So, we have a bit of ways before we get there. The surgeon's going to know whether or not this is contagious within the next couple hours, not the next couple days or weeks. Right now, my gut says head to Cape Town to make sure that the rest of us are alive in order to hunt the whales. But the surgeon says otherwise. Then we do otherwise.
Well, I'm just pointing out, sir, that this is a commercial vessel. We are paid out of the profits. None of us wish to stay out a single moment longer than we have to, and all of us wish to return to Kingsport with a hold full of barrels of oil.
Oh, aye. Don't you be worrying there.
Well,
I
will
understand
worry,
economics. Sir. You need to hunt the whales to make the money to feed your bellies and your wallets. I understand. You've got families. You got people dependent on you. I understand that too. And if you're dead, then nothing's going to be able to get done now, is it? Now, at the end of the day, that's what's happening. There's 3 people on this boat, very sick. One who just died last night.
Well, Captain, I anticipate this is a subject we will revisit once we have more knowledge.
Aye. Right now, the surgeon's going to go check on the people downstairs. Once they're done, we'll talk.
Corey, who's been watching this just with her little pipe stuck in her mouth, not saying a thing, finally takes a Captain, very specifically emphasizing that word. You'll be needing an acting mate, won't you?
Aye, Corey.
May I request if I am so honored?
Aye.
Very good, sir.
You've been a straight shooter through the whole lot of this strange adventure we found ourselves on. I want you at my side, and I want your help.
Once Mr. Mallinson has finished his fatigue duty, I request him as my boat steerer.
Fine. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to accompany the surgeon. Once the surgeon is done with the assessment, I will then address the lot of you. Until then, you have your duties.
So there's some grumbling, but they get off. But there's clearly a lot left in the air. Like this is not settled, and whatever the rules of the sea, this is a merchant ship. So you're going to need to convince them that you're the captain. It's not just enough that you're acting captain. So I think the thing to do is let's drop into the great cabin first and see how everybody's doing inside. So, Cap, Dr. Lilith.
Yes, how have each of us spent the night? I don't think Clement slept either. We can have tossed the body out in the night.
Oh my God.
What? I mean,
Not even giving him back to his father.
Well, we're leaving.
Well, traditionally, you sew them up in sailcloth.
Do we have sailcloth in the captain's quarters? We're confined
okay
to quarters. That's what
You
we
could have
got.
asked the other people to deal with the body. It wouldn't have been tactful, but you could have done it.
All right, so that's a question, I guess, then. What do we want to do with the body?
I mean, if you wanted to have thrown him out, you can have thrown him out.
Yeah, I think, like, giving him to the sea feels right.
Okay.
Does Lilith have an opinion?
I mean, you killed him. I think from her perspective, it's up to you.
Under your direction,
Was it?
ma'am. It
Was it my
indeed.
direction?
I ought to have taken a +1 mechanically for your advice.
Was that the advice I gave, though?
It was. It was indeed.
I recall it was commented on with a ish.
I don't think Clement would have done it if you hadn't told him that.
See, the thing is,
which is
so
what we're
interesting.
talking about. It's just
It's a cycle. It's so interesting. Insofar as like Lilith would have potentially done it herself if Clement hadn't intervened, but because Clement intervened, Lilith is very dead set against the fact that it happened because she's convinced she wouldn't have done it herself.
And he
whether or not she actually would have is a different question.
Yeah, and he would have felt like, oh, it's just not right. Like I can't. And until you said something, and then he said something, he's like, oh, okay. Obviously, this is what, and now I've done it. So it's just people regretting things that I've done. All this is what always happens.
We had some conversations about
like codependency.
Yes, we had some conversations about the differences between the id and the ego and the super ego, and here we are.
Okay,
so we've thrown him out the back window.
Okay, great.
Great. With respect.
This is a folie deux in the most classic sense.
Yeah, seriously. All right.
But after that, how have you spent your night?
I think Lilith has taken up residence under the obsidian mirror. Mm-hmm. And I think she has lit a candelabra, which I hope you keep in here. Sure. And she's reading by candlelight. She also is not sleeping, but she's determined to study, particularly given the message she received last time from the mirror, which is that the messenger is coming. So she's looking for any sort of reference to that term, to that name. In her studies, she's trying to figure out what that means.
And by under, do you mean kind of like leaning up against the wall beneath it?
Yes. So like I imagine, I don't know, actually this is a question. Is the mirror like at face height? How is it long or is it small?
I think it's at like if you're standing up, it's at eye level.
Okay. But it's not like a long mirror where the mirror touches
it's like it's like maybe the size of your face.
Okay. That's what I thought. So yeah, she's under that, like against the wall under that mirror, but it's directly above her.
Gotcha. Clement has definitely requested of Phoebe that she make whatever she made last night again, if that is possible. But other than that, just like staring into the obsidian mirror, like probably sitting like cross-legged, like knee to knee with you, Lilith, just looking in the opposite direction. Sometimes seeing things, sometimes not.
Phoebe has been mostly not saying anything. She ignored you when you asked her for tea. But as the sun has risen, she's staring out and muttering, "Full fathom 5, thy father lies. Of his bones are coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change. Strange weather." And with that, a large black bird flies into the cabin and lands on the table.
Like seeing it in the mirror first, which is an odd thing. You said it was black?
Does Lilith recognize this as very much the same kind of bird that she saw on the other ship?
Well, it's a raven, which is kind of weird because you're in the middle of the ocean.
Interesting.
Rah! Phoebe's looking at like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I would like to read another's thoughts.
Who?
The raven.
The raven. Okay.
Like meeting its eye as much as that's possible in the obsidian mirror.
Okay. Please, I invite you to.
Which
roll the dice.
is, well, maybe that's not quite right. I guess that's the most correct. Just none of these particular. No, that'll still work, actually. Cool. That's plus brain, which is 0 for me. Oh dear. Well, that's a 2.
Okay, so the raven's hopping around, messing around the papers, and Lilith, it comes up with that letter you wrote to Miss Hobramble, clutches it in its beak.
Hey, put that down.
It flaps over to the windowsill and like looks at you.
Okay, I didn't expect to be able to use this knowledge so quickly, but literally just the other day, I watched a TikTok about how to properly pick up a duck. It is apparently not to approach the duck from behind because it will scatter. So you are supposed to come at the duck from the front and then like establish trust with the duck and then scoop the duck from like under its breast and pick it up. So I think Lilith is going to attempt to do that.
Does Lilith know this?
Great question.
Well, I mean, novelists research all sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think.
So you may have grown up on a farm. So.
Yeah, right. Or, you know, having seen people fail at catching chickens, I imagine. And so she's determined I will not fail at catching chickens, although this is a raven. So I guess there's a question about whether or not ravens behave similarly to chickens.
This is 100% acting under pressure.
Yeah, I figured. Cool. What do I add to that?
Balance.
Lilith has none of that because Lilith doesn't have practical skills. Yeah, so it's just a straight roll. That's 6 and a 4, 10.
4, 10. Okay. Well, you grab the raven and Phoebe goes, oh no.
And I think
don't squeeze him too hard.
I won't, but he took something of mine. And I think Lilith is going to grab the letter to Lavinia from its
pulling
legs.
back on it. It's like, ah. It like looks at the window and tries to grab the letter again.
I think she's going to look into its eyes, and now maybe she's going to try to sense another's thoughts. She's going to ask it a question point blank, and that's
telepathic bird. Sure, go ahead.
Are you the messenger? Do you have a message? And that's not much better than Clement. That's a 4.
In response, it grabs the letter back out of your hand, and before you can do much, it batters you with its wings and steps to the rail of the window, takes one last look inside, and then sails away.
Looking at you in the mirror, Clement says, do you remember one of the first things I said to you in this room?
You said many things in this room. Is it some version of that we're going to get where we need to go and be where we need to be?
Those things are true, but no. It's the God demands everything, and that the sooner you learn to let go, the easier it will be for you. What was that?
That wasn't God, that was a raven.
You didn't answer my question.
A letter, if you must know. And luckily, for me, I have a copy.
2.
Well, if you must know, I am a novelist, and I know other novelists, and I have promised to keep them apprised of our dealings out here on the open water. I did promise to write, and so my letter is to Lavinia Hawbramble, a dear friend of mine, who is also a novelist and who was eager to hear of our ocean adventures.
I think I want to read another's thoughts real quick here. Again. Because there's a whole lot of subtext that I might pick up on here.
Yeah, Lilith is her face is very stoic, but you get the sense she's choosing her words carefully.
Gotcha. That is a 7 on the dice, and this is plus brain, which I think is 0 for me. Yep. So that is only 1. Let's see, what can I ask to get the answer that I want here? Is this character telling the truth, I guess, in that, like, this is all that Lavinia Hawthorne is to Lilith?
You get the sense that Lilith has disguised the depth of intimacy of this relationship. But you also don't necessarily get the sense that she's hiding an established relationship. I think you get the sense that there's something more than just the friendship she's described, but also it's not like I'm trying not to tell you about someone I've been involved with for a long time.
Yeah, and still only looking at you in the mirror. I had someone too in London.
Oh?
I thought I could feel God through him. He was a physical expression of my devotion. Like the darkness that opens up beneath the water, a reflection in a black mirror, an echo in the void that called my name. I dreamed of him last night.
Did he tell you to kill him?
He offered himself in his stead.
So you dreamed of your lover, and your lover said that you must kill this boy?
He offered himself in his stead.
But it is still the boy who died.
It is. Because Edlund said that was his name, that he would die again. And how could I do it twice when he'd already been given back to me for my faith?
Do you put such stake in dreams that they direct your action?
Glancing at the body, or the window that we threw the body out of, whatever has happened to this point, I've been told to pay attention to my dreams.
They can be important. That is true. There is a whole field of study of dreams, in fact. But they are fickle. Some are constructs. Some are warnings. Some are versions of what can pass, but might not.
How is it, Lilith, that you, who have never seen God, would advise me? This happened before. You think that people you told me to do it. I have not forgotten that, and now you regret it. Now you regret the thing that I have done under your advice.
I did not tell you to kill him. I
You
said
told me that it was the path to God.
there is a difference between an instruction and a piece of factual information, and I advise you learn the difference if you are to continue to captain the ship, and if you are to seek God.
With that, the door flies open. Oscar ducks his head in, holding his harpoon, and then ushers the surgeon into the room.
Which one is Oscar?
Oscar is the third boat.
Fourth boat steer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Clement is just like sitting very, very placidly on the bed, looking at the mirror.
So, Silence Milligan is the surgeon, and she is a staunchly religious Methodist. So I picture her wearing a high-collared black dress. She has little pince-nez that have that she has a cord on her neck that she can let them drop. Hair is pulled back in a severe bun. She's wearing some version of like a clerk's sleeve protectors over her dress. Well, the witch girl I know was mad, but now I hear that it's spread to you too.
Is that what he's saying?
I am not mad.
Nor I. But if you must, like, just turn around and stand up and go over to her. Probably sit down in one of the chairs.
So she's examining you and making notes in shorthand. Pulse strong but a little thready. Slight temperature. Eyes bloodshot. Tremors of the left hand. You seem not in any much worse shape than you were when we left Kingsport.
Yes, it's as we said, we're not mad nor sick.
No, but you are lost.
Lost.
You have quite clearly, both of you, turned yourselves away from religion and the solace of our Lord to take up strange heathenish ideas. And
just the flattest of looks.
I have no doubt but that you have come under the influence of dark forces in doing so, and thus endanger your souls and the lives of your men.
Oh, I'm sorry, is knowledge a dark force now?
One must be mindful of the source of that knowledge, young miss.
Yes, but saying some knowledge is godly and other knowledge is heathenish, it's creating categories that do not exist. It is all knowledge.
'Tis all in the good book, ma'am.
Your name is Silence. Yes.
'Tis so. My parents were Quakers. They chose a name they thought suited to their form of worship. I, however, am not a Quaker.
Would you stand up for me?
All right.
And like I lead her over to the mirror, like where the blood stain on the floor has just crept to where she's standing. Look and tell me what you see, because God has been here tonight and it is not yours.
Lilith flips open a book and begins writing. She's observing this very closely.
I feel like this needs to be a move, but I'm not sure what it is.
Maybe gaze into the beyond or abyss or whatever it's called, but I'm doing it for somebody else.
Yeah, no, I think actually, no, there is a move for this because of what you're clearly trying to do. You are clearly trying to intimidate another.
Oh, okay.
However, no, actually, I was going to say roll with beyond, but you know what? Roll with brawn, because if you don't physically restrain her, she'll just break her gaze with some kind of horrifying cry and probably run out and tell everybody that you're crazy.
Question, Lilith, are you helping me maybe here?
I think for the moment we have a common enemy that has just appeared. So yes, I think Lilith will help.
Great. How are you helping?
I think, I mean, Lilith's clearly running with the beyond. But the official helper hinder is roll plus bonds.
Mhm.
So,
Well, you don't have to do it until Clement rolls.
actually,
True. All right, so that is plus brawn, which is -1 for me. No, not terrible. That is an 8 on the dice, is still 7. So it wouldn't matter either
Okay.
way.
Help won't help here. On a 7 through 9. I think she stares for a long moment, then breaks her gaze quickly, like stifles a sob, crosses herself, and says, "There must be some bad air in this cabin. I must." And she just steps out of the cabin. Oscar sticks his head in, looks at the two of you, closes it again. You hear the latch snick too.
I think Lilith waves at the door. Farewell.
Angus Mellinson, you've been tasked with an inventory of the ship, which will lead you down inevitably into the hold, where you happen upon Mr. Martin Eccles, the cooper, who is assembling some casks.
Oh, great.
He,
I think I've largely managed to stay out of this guy's orbit so far.
he glances up at you and goes, "Angus Mellinson,
Eccles.
I feel we must have words."
I wouldn't agree.
You think matter lies between us?
You glitched really badly there for a second.
Oh, sorry. You think no matter lies between us, Angus?
From my perspective, matters are settled. Sorry?
What about Mr. Van Ryn, my friend, who is dead?
Yeah, that death, as you know, was a hunting accident.
He looks at you, gives you a long, hard look, and says, "Do you know why people refuse to believe that it was an accident, Angus Mellinson?"
I have thoughts. Perhaps it's because of his reputation.
Indeed. I make no excuses. Hercules was a man who lived life in the way that only someone born to the manor can. Well, he was a friend and he showed me a kindness once. I was indebted.
Well, I'm glad he was capable of it.
So tell me true and we'll have it out here and now. If it was an accident, then let us shake and be friends and forget this. If it was not, then let us settle our differences and put an end to it that way.
I have a job to do right now that I've been tasked with that affects the entire health of this crew. We can revisit this matter. I'm sure we will. We're to be on this voyage for a very long time.
In that case, it were better that we settle this now. I find that your silence is suspicious, but I understand a man's duty. We will speak of this again.
I have little doubt.
Cool. So, you pass down further into the hold and are starting to, casks of water, casks of oil, empty casks, going through the whole thing. But
Got my
you
little
hear,
notepad.
you hear people whispering up ahead.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
I'm trying to decide what Angus would do here, because there's two courses of action that both could potentially make sense, right? You can, when you hear people who are trying not to be caught, you can either sneak up on them and find out why they're trying not to be caught, or you can diplomatically make some amount of noise so that they know and can put their affairs in order.
This is a hard decision then.
It is, and I'm trying to figure out what Angus would do in this moment
of suspicion and doubt, where every hand is turned against everyone else's.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'd probably... I don't think he would obviously, like, skulk, but I think his default mode of moving is probably fairly quiet, and I think he is used to when he doesn't want to surprise people, like, consciously making a bit of noise. And I think he is going to refrain from doing that. He's going to carry on fairly quietly, and should he happen to overhear them before they notice him, well, they should have done their whispering somewhere more secluded.
And that sounds like we should use act under pressure as the oracle for this situation.
Yeah, that seems fair. That is a 10.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so as you're continuing your business, you get closer, and what you hear is that you can hear Elias, and from the sounds of the voices, from their accent, a couple of other Kingsporters talking in low murmur. And then very faintly, you hear a very dry, whispering voice that sounds like it's coming from far away or perhaps under something, responding to them like they're asking questions and receiving answers.
Okay, cool. Normal.
On this ship.
On this ship at this
all
point.
this Thursday.
This is probably the sort of weird thing that Whistler wanted to know about.
Oh, you got a 10, so you have freedom of action here.
Yeah. Sorry, it's Elias, and did you say who the other person was?
It's Elias and his boat crew, who are all Kingsporters.
Oh, okay. His whole crew.
Yep, the Lilith and Kingsporters in the crew.
So I'm not close enough to make out what they're saying.
I think with what you rolled, you can hear that Elias is asking quite a few questions about where they should go next and what they should do about this situation.
And the voice in the depths is responding to those questions, even if I can't make out what it is.
You can't
saying.
really make out what that voice is saying, but
it's clear that it is the person or thing being asked, and it is actively responding.
Yeah, 100%.
This is just like in the hold, in like a relatively open, like I haven't gone too much further from where, for example, my run-in with the Cooper was.
Yeah, I mean, the boat's just not that big, but this would be more towards the forward end of the boat is where they are talking.
Yeah. I think Angus believes to some extent in fair play. He's clear that they're doing something. He's made mental note of it. And I think, again, he's a skilled hunter, which means he's probably got decent hearing. So he was probably able to pick up at least some of that from far enough away that it doesn't look like he's actively like spying. Right. So I think as soon as the gist of their conversation becomes clear enough that he feels like he has something to report to Whistler, if he chooses to do so, I think it's not like necessarily super obvious how he does it. He's not going to just start like stomping down the deck, but like his passage through as he like, like is counting casks and all that kind of thing becomes noticeably louder. Like he's still just going about his business, but like maybe he just lightly bumps into one cask, or he like does some of his counting under his breath, or.
Mm-hmm. So after a while, you see the crew start to file back out. Mr. Elias is looking at you. It's like, Mallinson, I didn't see you here before.
No, I've just been. Well, I got into a bit of trouble, and I've been asked to tally inventory.
Oh, well done, sir. Carry on.
It's tedious work, but thank you. And I think he'll
he turns to you.
with
It's like,
the count of his current, like where he's at.
I should congratulate you, I suppose.
He looks inquisitive.
With the incapacity of the captain, Miss Marsh has been promoted to acting mate, and she has requested you to be her harpooner.
Oh. I had not heard. I suppose I'll speak to her when I'm finished down here.
I wouldn't move your items into the wardroom yet, but that much depends upon the captain's health. We should know more by dinner.
Probably sound advice.
I'll carry on. You know your duties.
You as well.
So, I think the thing that happens is Silence comes to report to you, Eamon.
I'm probably in the middle of doing something, hauling.
Yeah, and she walks up onto the quarterdeck without being invited, which is weird because she's been at sea before. She should know better than that.
Yeah.
Mr. Burns?
Aye, Silence.
I have examined the captain and Miss Belvedere. I saw no signs of infectious disease, sir.
All right.
They both seem agitated. I would put it to you, Mr. Burns, that their souls are both in danger.
Their souls?
Aye, sir.
Oh, well, all right. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that, but would you say they were healthy enough to continue their duties?
I know not, sir. The captain seemed as himself, but that intensity he has been linked to some dreadful passion, and I don't know that we can... I don't know, sir. I'm sure he's competent to master a ship. The question is what would his will be had he the mastery?
Oh,
But I have no bias. She leans in. It's like, I have no medical reason. This is pure speculation upon his spirits.
That's fine. I appreciate it. Did you have a chance to at least look over the body, see if maybe there was something on there?
There was no body.
What do you mean there was no body? The lad we brought in the other day.
There was no body, sir.
I probably threw it overboard.
That was one of your unpleasant duties this morning too. Is you've been blown quite a distance from the Verity, so you had to like raise flags. It's like, your son is dead.
Sorry. How do you say it? I'm not saying it's us. I'm not saying it's not us in flags.
Well, there were common merchant codes so that a certain combination of flags could be used to express an idea, and there was actually an alphanumeric code you could do for anything complicated.
I've seen I used to get dragged to nautical museums as a kid. I don't know why, but this was a part of my childhood.
So, yeah. So basically, silence has done nothing to help your situation.
No,
in this
it's fine. All right. You done good, Silence. Get yourself, a little nip of grog and go
No,
about your
sir. I never
duties.
touch a drop, but I shall. If you have no duties for me for the remainder of the day, I shall spend it in contemplation and prayer.
All right. Whatever suits you.
Walks away, probably muttering papist under her breath.
Probably, and I probably muttered one or two things unsavory about her as well. All right, I'm gonna go talk to the cat.
Oh God, this will go well.
Hi. Who's the one guarding the door?
Oscar,
All right, Oscar.
sir.
I gotta go in and talk to the cat. It might not be a pleasant conversation. It might not bode well.
You need me there with you, sir.
No, I don't think it'll be that bad. But don't open the door unless only I tell you to open the door. Understood?
Understood, sir.
Thank you. And I walk in.
And Phoebe comes up to you like, you've come to the nest. We've had a bird.
I think
I
Lilith looks up from her reading and she waves. Hello, Whistler.
Lilith, Phoebe, Captain, how all of you are doing?
How do you think?
It's ever so dull down here.
Well, I can imagine.
The wind's to the south-southwest, so I no longer know a hawk from a handsaw, Mr. Burns.
Can we come up now?
Just
That's-
hand her Hamlet.
It's what I'm determining. What I saw in here last night, not gonna lie, I don't scare easy, but a sick man laying dead from a wound. And now that body's gone.
And like Clement's still holding the harpoon tip, right? Would you sit?
Yes, there's a couple things I think we need to hammer out between us. I sit.
I should have let you stay that night with Phoebe. I think if I had, you would have seen that there are things in this world that are beyond us.
Captain, you know very well that I have seen things.
But did you believe in them?
Well, that's what I came down here to ask you. You know, before all this happened, yeah, I heard you mentioning God, religion, and all that every now and then. Never paid much mind. Who doesn't mention it? But now seeing you after all these years, the words on your tongue pretty quick. Captain, when you say God, what form is this God of yours taken?
When we were still in Kingsport, I told you a story. Do you remember it?
Bits and pieces. Please remind me.
That whale that found us on the Solano. That whale that was not a whale. That whale that was the Leviathan. That Leviathan that was God.
Captain, you're not.
You know that I went down with the ship then. Do you know where I took my next breath?
I had assumed you had found some driftwood or something along those lines.
It was on the beach in Brighton.
Brighton? That's the wrong ocean.
Isn't it?
How did you end up in Brighton?
It's difficult to explain. There was an in-between time. I think I was swallowed. That was a thing I came to realize after. I think he saved me for something, and I spent the next several years trying to pay back the favor that had been done to me.
Oh, Christ. I mean, Captain, we don't know what that damnable beast was.
I do. It may not have spoken to you as it spoke to me, but it did speak to me. And it has done so again. And I can't. I turned away from him once because I thought he had turned from me. And I can't do that again. I can't. I can't.
Captain, just scooch a little closer. Captain, it's not following us, is it? It's not gonna be like before with the storm.
You had your chance to get off this ship and you didn't take it.
I didn't think it was going to be like before. I couldn't believe. Well, maybe the signs were there. I just thought everyone had been just a bit daft. You know, Phoebe had a fever. The church. I mean, I've seen other churches, and I don't understand all the stuff that goes on in them. This church had a well. Ooh, it's got a well.
And like reach over and like take one of your hands, like very firmly. I want you to know it. You saw it, same as I did that first night.
I did. Catman, it never spoke to me.
Would you like it to?
I don't know. I mean, this isn't something that. I mean, Captain, it's not just me or you or even Phoebe over there at stake. It's the whole damned crew. I mean, we're responsible for their lives here. You know, I was there in the Solano. 13. You're the 13th, but there was only 12 of us that made it into any kind of safety that night. Everyone else went down, and I saw 'em.
Something that I've come to realize over the years is that we are not responsible. It is in God's hands. Will you stand up?
I'm gonna go and take care of the crew. Yeah, but don't you worry. We're gonna finish our voyage, and I'm gonna do what I can to keep everyone safe.
Before you go, Whistler, I have a theory.
Uh, please.
When the captain speaks of God, the Leviathan, it is in singular. But I think that what you and the captain experienced on the Solano, it is like speaking of apples and oranges, your experience and my research, and yet it's all fruit. I think the captain's God is one of my Fathomless, which means it's not so much that it's a singular entity directing, that has a will of its own, but rather it is an agent of something larger. And that is what I am here to find out. That is what I have devoted my scholastic career to studying. I am an expert on this, insofar as you can be an expert on something you've never seen.
So you're an expert on these undersea beasts that you think that the captain and I have encountered.
Yes.
Do you have a description of what they look like, just to see if what you're thinking of and what the captain and I have seen matches?
You are thinking corporeally, which does not surprise me. But remember, I have never seen one. That is part of why I was scorned in the scholastic community. That is part of what I have come here to do, to find evidence, to prove my understanding. I've
I
heard
know.
their voices, and that is enough.
Where did you hear the voice of these Fathomless, you call them?
Well, sometimes in dreams. At the bottom of the well, I greeted them first formally. And most recently, in that mirror over there.
In that mirror?
Yes. They said the messenger was coming. I don't know what that means. I've been trying to figure it out, to solve the puzzle since it was said.
Hey, cat.
At your service.
That mirror, is it
Yeah.
from the ocean?
Cap, where'd you get that mirror?
It was purchased for me at an auction in London by Edlund the first time that I met him.
I understand what you're going for here.
Actually, I'm looking at the move, and it looks like it's not going to help me just as much as Peer to the Beyond.
Okay. You can go to the mirror.
Oh, I am. I am strutting straight up to that mirror and looking at myself or whatever's on the other side of it.
I will follow you and kind of stand behind you, and I will help.
Roll
I think
beyond.
before you do this, I think Lilith also would like to look at the captain. Give him the spear to hold. It might help focus.
If you need that, then there's no point.
You two have been having some interesting conversations down here, haven't you? All right, roll.
And put a hand on either shoulder. Let me know what you get.
That is a total of 7.
Could get you to a 9.
Yeah. Can two
is
people
this
help?
maybe
I don't think two people can
+1
help.
for God things?
I don't know. Well, that's for the Awful Sea. It's very casual about the rolling the dice section, which I could not find to figure out whether or not pluses stack. So,
question. Whistler did get a +1 from the well for ambiguous God things. Could that potentially apply here?
Oh yeah, that's right. I did get that a while back.
I'm very vague on what that actually comes into effect
I
for.
believe
but
you had +1 forward. So you were acting on the advice of. I should have taken the book out. You were acting on the advice of what you heard in the well, yes? Well,
Yeah.
I just happen to have that prophecy written down.
That
here
was
in this book.
beware not your captain, but your captain's desires, if I remember
Yeah.
Beware not thy captain, but thy captain's desire. Beware the secrets kept from the sea.
So probably not. Okay.
Well, I don't know. Beware not thy captain, but thy captain's desires. Yeah, that +1 counts here.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. I will roll then. That is plus bonds. So what has happened to my dice? +2 or +1? Ha! That is a 9 on the dice. +1 is 10.
Nice.
So you get a +2, I think.
That gets you to a 10, huh?
Yeah. Okay. So on a
Visions and truth. What was your question, Eamon Burns?
oh, okay. Time to word this question just right. Oh, I just thought of one that could hurt my brain.
Well, actually, it doesn't have to be a question because this isn't gaze into the abyss. You're connecting with what's beyond.
Yeah.
What is your subject, I guess, is better.
So I saw a monster. The captain saw a god. And Lilith is saying both are true to a certain extent.
Lilith's saying it's a monstrous god.
Yeah.
What's complicated?
Yeah, exactly. So I am trying to see the truth of this particular matter. Like, is it just a strange monster? Is it a god unto itself? Is it merely the finger of a godly hand? Like, what is it? All three? We're in Lovecraft territory.
Oh shoot, you know what else you get? Because this is the first time you rolled your dice since I told you to look away while you were on lookout duty.
Oh yeah.
You get a +1.
Cool. So that's at 11.
When you look in the mirror, it's almost like you feel yourself fall through the mirror into some kind of dark space beyond where it's like being in the water, or especially like being under the ice. There's a hole where the light comes through and the rest is murky. And there's a well-dressed man and woman there. I mean, they're like dressed in the top of current fashion with top hat and crinolines. And they look at you, and it's that weird kind of sensation, like when two people are doing things that are just far too in unison. Like there's, even when they don't do something in unison, there's a synchronization, like that one will start and the other will finish the action. The man says, Eamon Burns, you are of the sea, but you are not ours. And the woman says, and yet that would give us some favor to you. You seek powers beyond, do you not, Eamon Burns?
I was seeking answers to a question. I don't know if that means powers of the beyond, but I just need knowledge.
So the man says, know you what a god is, Eamon Burns?
Only what I've read in the Bible.
The woman says, a god is the yearning of humans given spiritual flesh. In that sense, there are gods in this world.
All right, but so was the beast that brought down the Solano Was that just like one of these manifestations you're talking about?
All things are as one, Eamon Burns, says the man. And yet there are separate powers in the world, and there are things that hearken to many and things that hearken to one. The creature that you speak of is one that hearkens to many.
Oh. All right. Am I allowed to ask you questions?
They kind of both glance at each other like, only if you know that there may not be answers.
Oh no, that's fine. I wasn't coming here for a religious experience, though I feel like I'm having one. But I just want to make sure that the crew are safe. I've already watched one crew be destroyed. I don't want to watch a second. Is there a way to protect the crew until they could be safe? You know, I can understand that there are some believers on the boat who may want otherwise. I don't. I want people to make it back to shore safe and sound. Is there something I can do?
Eamon Burns, heir to a tradition that has sailed waters since Phoenicia. No, every sailor knows that there is no safe harbor in the sea.
It's true.
I will tell you this, Eamon Burns. You will choose one day between the sea and the land. That is your fate. But know you this, Eamon Burns. Your fate is not linked to the captain.
Mhm.
Put your hope and trust, such as they are, in that. We will meet again. And with that, it's almost as if you're falling backwards out of the mirror.
And Clement catches you.
Lilith is immediately peering into your eyes, and I think she's like holding the candelabra and she's using it kind of like a flashlight, like where she would try to like, catch.
What did you see?
I'm I don't know if you'd believe me. I met two dapper folk. And they gave me some religious instructions, and it hurts my head to think about. So right. I'm gonna leave you two down here for just a little while more. I'm gonna go talk to Angus and see if he's finished up with the inventory. And then I think I'm gonna have a little bit of a lie down. Don't sacrifice no one no more. Please. Just awkwardly walks away.
Yeah, Clement like goes from like holding onto your shoulders to like holding onto your hand and just like tells you just like have faith.
Phoebe hugs you, Eamon. Says, "Don't worry, it gets easier."
You saw manifestation number 34.
But Oscar, I'm ready to leave.
He looks at you like, he closes the door behind you like, begging your pardon, Mr. Burns, but you look like you've seen a hint.
Oscar, I'm gonna offer you a piece of advice.
Aye, sir.
Unless they're asking for food or water, just ignore anything they say. They're daft. I think they've made me daft just being in there for like, how long was I in there? 10 minutes?
I would say so, sir.
Oh hi. You're doing good work, Oscar. I've got to see to some other tasks.
I think like as Whistler leaves, Lilith looks over to Clement and there's like a knowing look in her eye. thus unto Eve from the serpent. Is this what it was like to witness the Garden of Eden?
What role would you cast me in?
That depends. Are you serpent or are you man?
And what would that make you, Lilith? Lilith.
Perhaps that makes me God.
Perhaps that makes you Lilith.
Perhaps it does.
And I'm going to go to Phoebe and ask her again, that tea you made, can you make it one more time? And if necessary, I would like to roll to manipulate another.
Perhaps I could, Captain. But I can make no guarantee of the result. Magic is not something that you can treat like a knot with a spherical trigonometry. There's a science to it.
One can one ever guarantee the results of anything. That is why one must act on faith.
What you saw that night was something that was the confluence of your will and my craft and the situation. If you tell me what you wish to do, perhaps I can better advise you, sir.
And close his eyes for a good 5 seconds and then open them and say, I want to say goodbye.
Ah, to a ghost?
Yes. I think it's time.
I can do that, but there's a risk.
Isn't there always?
And you'd have to trust me.
You walked on water. I think God loves you more than he loved me. So yes.
Oh, Clement. I did not will that. The power that is working through me did.
Exactly.
I will do this for you, but you must know one thing, Clement. It is a dreadful thing to feel a power working through you. Look you at me. See what is left of Phoebe Greenwood. Is this the bourne that you wish to travel to?
And take both of her hands. Whatever you need from me, it is yours.
I mean, very little. A large tub full of seawater, such as you're shaving, such as you use to wash yourself in the morning. Some herbs, a candle or 3, the right words.
And I think there are enough candles left over from last night to be serviceable, and I will go request the remaining from Oscar.
That is manipulate someone. Or intimidate, your choice.
I think manipulate. I'm not intimidating her. But did she ask me to promise something first as an NPC?
Oh, you're not manipulating her, you're manipulating Oscar.
Oh, okay.
Oh, she's all for this. So she says as an aside to Lilith, do you know much in the art of life-saving?
In theory. I've read about it. Never done it, though.
That will have to do.
Do you think the captain will need it?
Assuredly.
I mean, intimidate another the results are iffier, which I kind of like, given Oscar's station in all of this. Like, he could go immediately run to Whistler and tell him everything. So I won't
I
roll
mean,
with
there
that.
is a way that you can get a large bonus to your roll,
How's that?
Is your
Oh, well, I guess, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I don't roll that enough. So that is test if your love is true, which is plus beyond. All right. That is a 10 on the dice, plus 2 is 12.
Well, then your love is true.
Which gives me a plus 3.
It's plus 3. Oh yeah.
Yep. And
Fills your heart with fire.
So intimidate another is plus brawn, which means it's only a plus 2 overall.
Right.
But yeah, I'll go request the things from Oscar.
Let me know how that goes.
All right. That is an 8 2 4s.
That
Which
would be a
means
10,
that's a
wouldn't
10. Okay, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you pull it, you like bang on the door. Oscar opens it. You yell at what you want.
Oh, I know. Clement doesn't yell.
Right. No, you're even. Oh, it's the icy cold. Bring me these things. And without a thought, he dashes off so fast that he leaves the door open while he's gone.
Yeah, and we just get this shot, right, of like the door and like Clement standing in the doorway, and then it will pull it closed again.
Well, I feel like we need to have something in between there. I guess we should see Angus reporting to Eamon.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he'll find you. Mr. Burns at Captain Burns? What?
Acting captain.
How is the captain and Ms. Belvedere, etc.?
Well, I had the surgeon look him over. It doesn't look like there's anything contagious. So, that means they're just mad. And
yeah, the food stocks are as... Well, I'm not going to say any of the food on this ship is what I would eat at home, but none of it's going to make someone ill, I don't think.
All right, well, that's a bit of good news. Oh, fine, good. You done good, Angus.
Listen, two things. Do you know the Cooper?
In passing, why?
We may get in a fight.
What'd you do to piss off the Cooper?
He looks uncharacteristically slightly awkward. It's a personal disagreement regarding a friend of his.
Is this about what happened on shore before you got on the boat?
Yes.
Oh, this is not the time to be doing things like this.
No, and I am not going to start a fight with him. But there may be a fight with him. But also, I overheard Mr. Pembleton and his crew speaking with something.
Some things don't speak. Some ones speak. What's this something?
Well, I don't know. I couldn't hear it clearly, but it was definitely coming from below the ship somewhere.
You think we have a stowaway?
No, I do not think that.
Oh. Take me to where this was.
Yeah, he'll nod. He'll take Eamon down to the hold. And on the way, he'll sort of relate the broad strokes of the half of the conversation that he did here.
There's a lot of strangeness going on this boat. You're not a mermaid, are you?
Not that I've noticed.
All right, just making sure. Seems like everyone here's got a secret except me.
So in the forward compartment, you find that there's a large wooden box that's been affixed to the very timbers of the ship itself on the wall, and that there's some like stubs of candles and the like around it, as if this has been a frequented place.
Huh. You said it was the Pempletons that have been coming over here, right?
That I did.
Is this box roughly large enough to fit a human being inside of it?
100%.
I'm a betting man. I play my cards. There's a body in there. And it better be dead.
That would be the preference.
Go give me that pry bar. We're getting to the bottom of this right now.
Very good. Could you act under pressure for me, please?
I could definitely do that. That's
Can you
balance,
then?
right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, there you go. Rolling my blue dice. Wow. That is an 11.
Oh, no
All
need
right.
for help from me.
You've got it open. And you're at that moment where you're about to put your weight on it to pry up the lid.
Yeah.
And you hear from behind you, Mr. Burns, I beg you, please don't do that.
I turn around. Who is it?
It's your third mate, Elias.
Elias? What do you know about this box?
Captain, this ship was owned by my late great uncle.
Is this your late great uncle?
This is a Pemberton ship, sir. It is normally crewed by our family and those who are with our family. For this voyage, we have accepted all sorts, and there are ways on our ship that belong to our worship that would be considered strange by many.
Well, right now I've been asking some strange questions because I've had some strange times. So, unless you want me to rip open this box, you're going to explain your strange rights to me.
I fear you'll consider it blasphemous.
Try me.
Angus is, as usual, sort of... I think he's the sort of person who has a knack for receding into the background when he's not being actively called upon. So he's watching this, but pretty intently.
It is not uncommon in our family to make homage to our ancestors. We give to them honor, and we believe they give us advice and comfort.
All right.
And yes, the remains of your ancestors are a component of that.
Okay, now that's what I wanted to know.
It's not his body. Don't be ridiculous. But there are relics of his body in there, along with other items which are not, frankly, for those outside the cult to see.
All right, fine. I don't mean no disrespect. It's just there's been a lot of strange things going on over the last few days that have caused some problems on this boat. Now, I may ask some questions that may seem disrespectful. I don't mean it, but I do need to know. When you talk to your ancestors here, are they actually responding to you, or you just get some nice warm fuzzy feelings in your chest?
There's an oracular function, and those who have been trained in some of the higher mysteries will sometimes respond, claiming to speak with the voice of the ancestor. You may credit that as far or as little as you wish, sir. I, for one, do not believe in the transubstantiation. There, I said it. I know that makes me a heathenish in your eyes, perhaps, but
No, right now that just makes you hunky-dory in my
our
eyes.
church is not Trinitarian, for that matter. So,
Bully for you, that's fine. But I'm more concerned with the tangible results. So, are there any other rituals that have been performed on this boat since we've left shore?
just we are all under enormous strain. I fear for the captain's senses.
As do I, which is why I'm
Well,
asking
we
these
have
questions.
sought the comfort of religion somewhat more often than perhaps we would if we were on a ship of our own and able to do so openly.
All right. Your religion there. What kind of gods do you have?
That is for those who follow our faith to know.
Okay. Can I be frank with you?
We reverence a heavenly Father.
All right. But a heavenly father, not one from, say, the ocean.
Well, we believe all life began in the sea, so
All right. Can I trust you?
you can trust me to do nothing that will harm this ship or our mission.
All right, fine. Does not harming the ship include the crew?
I think actually, if you will let me cut in briefly, I think when he says our mission, Angus will say relatively quietly, but he'll ask the ship's mission.
Yes, the ship's mission.
I'll just give a little nod.
The ship's mission to go whaling.
Yes, Mr. Burns.
All right, listen. I've got people performing strange rituals here and there. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I'm not interested in the cryptic talk right now. So I'm going to lay it out straight. A few years back, I was on a boat that sank. And it wasn't due to just a spot of bad weather or us running aground. Something attacked our boat. Something I can barely explain. A creature I've never seen before and have never heard a description of in my life. And yet, now, a couple years later, it seems to be dogging our heels.
So I think Angus sees this, not you, because you're talking directly at him, but Angus can see that Elias's hands move in some kind of weird sign, either like he's making some kind of, it's obviously some kind of ritual gesture, whether it's to ward off evil or something else. You don't know. Yeah, that's the feeling. It would be almost like he was crossing himself, but it's not that kind of a gesture. Captain Burns, I don't think I have to tell a sailor such as yourself that there are creatures of the depths, the likes of which we reck little. Take for example these great sperm whales that we hunt now. I have heard many stories from the old whalers that often when they are found and brought aboard the ship, that their skin is covered in great puckers and sores. They must combat with some monstrous animal, and since they eat the squid that surface near the water, One can only assume that there is some vast kraken-like beast in the great depths, but no man has yet seen it. So, there are all sorts of creatures in the great depths of the ocean, sir. Water covers more of this world than the land sticks out of it.
I agree with you, and I'm hoping that's just the case. I'm just saying, I saw something that didn't act naturally, and I've never seen no creature act like this either. Except for a human. It was intelligent.
Surely, as a religious man, then you believe there are creatures whose power is beyond that of the human and ignore the natural rules and laws of the world.
I do, and that's what I'm afraid of.
It is right to fear, but you must show faith.
Right.
All will be well.
Does your faith have any kind of prayers or rituals to keep people safe from things like this? You know, hey, I'm a Christian man. Sign of the cross, do my Hail Marys, my rosaries.
We can ask for the intervention of the powers we give reverence to protect us from the unknown and the horrors of the deep.
Aye. Good. Do them, please.
Yes. All right. Yes, Mr. Burns. But I ask you please do not speak of this to the rest of the crew. It is a private matter. It has pained me greatly to speak this openly of that which we do not tell any outside our faith.
That's fine. I have no interest in intruding, and I meant no disrespect. As I said, it's
Now,
been strange days.
if you'll allow me a moment alone, I must perform some rituals to repair the damage. And, well, repair the damage.
It's fine. Angus, come.
Angus will follow.
Please don't mention this to any of the other crew. The last thing we need is more bad blood and more bad faith right now.
Agreed.
Aye. How's that throwing arm of yours? You getting better?
I suppose we'll find out. I heard about Miss Marsh's promotion.
Aye. And she wants you as a harpooner.
Heard that too.
Aye. You're not a faithful man, are you?
Not as you, and he sort of like gestures with his head, or they would think of it, I don't think.
No, I mean, I guess that's not such a bad thing.
Serves me all right.
Who knows? The next few days, you might have a chance to kill a god. Or a devil.
We'll see what happens, I guess.
Aye. Alright.
Odd trip, this.
Back to your duties, and if you see any whales, please shout them out. Can use the morale boost.
Right.
So, Mr. Burns, it is your intention to continue to confine the captain, yes?
Yes.
Then may I propose that a few days pass?
Sure.
All
Works
right.
for me.
At the night of the new moon, when the tide would be at its lowest, though you rolling upon the fathomless depths of the ocean, now speeding swiftly southwards. You've had nothing but fair winds since that terrible night. Heading directly on to your course that will carry you to the heart of the Pacific and the Japanese fishing grounds.
Mm.
And that night, Phoebe fills the basin with seawater and brews some tea. and raises it to you, Clement Thorne.
But does she spit in it this time?
She does not. When you look at it like that, she says, "It is not necessary for me. If you want, you could have Miss Belvedere do that." I say that not in jest, Mr. Thorne.
But yeah, laugh just the same and offer it over to Lilith.
I think she will spit in it.
And then drink it down.
This time it hits you much harder, much faster. You're woozy and sink into a chair, and then Phoebe just grabs your head and pushes it straight into the salt water and holds it there. Lilith, the captain is drowning.
Lilith wants to... So how much, if anything, does Lilith understand about this ritual? Is this something she's encountered before, or a variant of it?
Well, you saw it the first time it happened.
Well, right. But I mean, like, in terms of this being, insofar as you can scientifically back something like this, like, part of the scientific process. Or is this something that she does think is going to end, or could end, poorly?
I mean, based on what's going to happen, based on everything she said, it's probably a fair bet she means to kill the captain and bring him back to life.
Do you want to roll to read a situation?
Yeah, that might be the
Yes,
answer.
I think that is what I'm going for.
Yeah, I was checking to see if there was a scholar move for that, but
there is. So the scholar move I was thinking about just broadly here is, I think since we're performing the ritual almost exactly the same as last time, and that Lilith interpreted as something that would call the Fathomless, but call them like calling a predator to prey rather than having an audience or something of that type. I think she wants to use her outsmart move to try to safeguard against the calling as, you know, us being prey.
Okay.
Insofar as possible.
I
That
may
sounds like a
roll to
plan.
hinder you. We'll see, depending on how you do
but
this.
first, let me read the situation. That is the base move.
To call this a charge situation, yes.
Yes. So roll plus brain. That's +2. That is, I'm glad that's +2 because that's 6, but that's still a miss.
Okay. Since the captain has passed out, she's able to just sort of leave him face down in the water, and she turns to you and advances on you kind of menacingly in a way you've never seen Phoebe act before. And she says, "Stand by that door and let no man enter if you value all our lives."
Of course.
She looks at you like, "Questions, yes. You wished this, Lilith Belvedere. You drew me the pin. You drew me out of the wood and brought me here, and now things work the way they will."
The captain is always talking about having faith. And I believe in the Fathomless. I always have. I always will. But I am not going to relinquish my intellect. And so I think this is where she would like to roll to outsmart to ensure that what's happening here is something that is not going to put them in extreme peril, and or is going to put them in extreme peril in a way that will not make them instantly devoured by an eldritch beast.
Okay.
That's what she's going for.
Yep.
If the eldritch beast comes, that's great. I'm happy to talk to the eldritch beast. Just doesn't want to, be instantly eaten. So rolling to outsmart.
How are you doing this?
That's a great question, because this is why I asked about how much I know about this ritual,
I mean,
or
you
if
know,
like there's any.
you know your own signs and charms and postulates and
That's true. Actually, I think
scribbled
maybe
notes.
I have my books.
And your poetry to protect you.
Yes, of course. Not to invoke Prospero, but I think we're going to
Or Paul Simon.
or Paul Simon, I suppose. I think she's going to, insofar as we can, she's going to kind of cast a counter charm while this is happening, but not to counter the effects, but rather to have a thread at which she can pull that will potentially change circumstance. A backdoor, as it were. So, ooh, much better. That's a 12.
Which means there's nothing I can do. All right.
So, Captain, you are tumbling naked through the dark waters far beneath the surface of the waves with Edland. And behind you, the wrecked bark HMS Silano is sinking into the waters as well. You are all drifting together, down, down, down.
Which is interesting because he wasn't on that ship.
No, I'm aware of that. What would you like to do?
I think it's kind of like a recreation of that would be. I mean, you know, we are open to fudging moves as necessary. If you'd like me to be aware, I can be aware. But yeah, I think it's a recreation of what happened originally, like that fight until like you realize you can't fight the ocean, you know. And like seeing that light so far beyond you, you know you can't reach it, and so you give up. But this time, unlike the first time, it's a conscious choice, you know, faith that something will come for us in the dark.
So your intent was to say goodbye, huh? Do you need words for that? Because words can probably be spoken. It's, you know, not physical. Or we could do this totally in pantomime, which is also very strong.
I think, you know, if this is a comic, there are no words spoken, but like in the little sidebar box, we've got I was afraid I loved you too much, but I think I didn't love you enough. The greatest thing one can do, I think, is to hold someone's life in the palm of their hand and decide not yet. The way the Leviathan did for me. I should have done that for you. I should have. Just, I'm sorry, trailing off into nothing.
I think Edland kisses you once. And it's quite a kiss. Yeah, this is a 2-page spread. And then lets go and sinks deeper into the water.
Do you want me to roll a change of heart now or later?
Might as well just get it all done now, right?
All right, so that is plus beauty, which means plus 0.
This will be entertaining.
It's a 6.
Oh.
Well, somebody wants to help you.
Can I help?
Or is it a +1? I'm going for something related to God, maybe, given who I'm changing my
Actually, yeah, that's true. It should be that, shouldn't it?
Okay. Or is that very fitting? I don't know. Up to you, Kat.
I think I'm going to leave this up to you. If you want the 7, you have the 7. If you want the 6, have the 6.
I think the 7 to 9 is interesting, but I also think Ghost Revenge is interesting. So
I think, yeah, given like that the choice is between 7 to 9 and a miss, I think a miss is more interesting.
Very good. I'll just go put that in my pocket for now.
Okay. But yeah, absolutely like it, kissing him back and like probably, very, do you get the other bubbles and whatnot?
So, Phoebe is just standing over Clement, watching, glances at you, Lilith, like, we have some time. But I suppose we should try and save him.
What is the context of save in this case?
It will bring back something of Clement Thorne and something of something else. It's always the way it is. When you fall asleep, are you the same person who wakes up?
This was Clement's choice. This is what Clement wanted.
Clement wanted to come back then.
Yes, I suppose.
You know, witches believe in things, but we don't have faith in them. I think that is wiser. You should have come to us. Miskatonic has never once made a great sorcerer. Just evil ones.
I never have thought of what I study as sorcery. I am a scholar who believes the tiger to be just a bigger kind of house cat.
But the president of the Olympians could pluck our wings off and not even know it, or know that there was anything to be interested in. Those are the powers that you grapple with.
I have thought long and hard about where fiction ends and where science begins. It is a fine tightrope. I walk between them. And when you sit upon the wall, sit upon the rope, you see both, and they begin to bleed into one another. Is that what madness is, Phoebe?
What makes you think I know anything of madness?
People begin to use that word at a certain point in one's intellectual development, I've noticed. And you've come so far in yours.
I was tricked, and now I am as adrift upon the seas, as a little boat upon the waves. Will Phoebe find her port? I know not.
Who tricked you?
Oh, me, Josias Pembleton, the old gods, who knows? I wrecked with forces that I had the skill to reach to, but not the craft to understand.
There is a difference in those things, isn't there?
Indeed.
Do you think I have both craft and skill?
And now you ask, so late. Now you ask to be instructed in the art. Would that you had come to me 2 years ago, and I could have taught you the simple things, spices to bind a wound, leaves to take away a heartache, a little charm to see a moment in the future.
Is time so linear as that I am too late?
You are too late because that Phoebe is not here anymore. Now I am the tension point between two great opposing plates that try and smash into each other. One tries to overcome the other. So long as the tension is held, they will stay in place. But let it slip, and the abyss will claim us all.
That sounds exhausting.
Don't it, though?
How is Clement looking?
Dead, so probably this is a good time to do something about that.
Yeah.
Or question, Cat. How many harm is that? How many harm is being dead?
I mean, technically it's 4.
Okay. So you know what I'm gonna do instead?
Oh no. I did not anticipate this. Go ahead.
Is give 2 hold to the embrace.
Okay.
Because that's a track I haven't done anything with yet so far.
Oh my god. Yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. All right. So you cough up some seawater and sit back up, much to the amazement of both Phoebe and Lilith.
Yeah, and just like I don't have like much hair left, but it's started to grow back in since we've been sailing for a couple months now. And just like glance back at like the reflection on the water in the tub. And then look over at Phoebe.
That comes with a cost.
Everything does.
Don't it, though? Is your heart content, Clement Thorne?
I've made my choice.
You have mastered yourself?
And then stand up and like take the bowl of water and pour it out like exactly the same window as we poured the body out this morning before the sun was up. And then look out to the sea way out there. And then toss the bowl to. Close the window and look back. That door that I closed and didn't lock behind me.
Yes.
I go to it now and open it.
Phoebe says something as you touch the doorknob. One word, Captain.
I'll pause, but not look back.
Trust no boat but the boat that you stand upon now. This ship. If you lower for a whale, you will not live to see that which you desire. Thus your cost begins to accrue.
And my hand drops from the door, and I'll go and pick up again that harpoon tip, which is probably just like on the floor next to where I was sitting. And then open the door.
Wow, I didn't think that we would have a chapter named The Quarterdeck, but I feel like you must speak to Mr. Burns, mustn't you?
I think so.
I think there's a gale brewing up. There's a charged atmosphere in the air, and from the lightning rods at the end of the masts and the yard arm, the pale blue-white glow of St. Elmo's fire is lit. The crew is all gathered around as you slowly stride up to the quarterdeck.
Does Lilith come with me?
I think Lilith is following you. She hasn't said anything yet. But she'll come.
Yeah, he definitely looks back, probably as I'm going up the stairs to the quarterdeck, and just meets your eye for a long moment.
And I think she tries to read something in them.
Oh,
Can she read another's thoughts?
like to do
yeah.
it? Yes, go for it.
Let's do it. It's one of those things when you want to do something narrative and then you realize there's a move for that. Read another's thoughts. That's 9 + 2, 11.
Nice. 3. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need all 3.
Oh yeah. What does this character intend to do?
That's a complicated question. To follow this path that has been set before me for years to its conclusion, to meet what you want to meet, though not in the manner in which you might prefer.
What does this character need most?
I think in this moment, as I'm going to talk to Whistler, your support. That's not overall what he needs most, but in this moment.
All right. And how can I get this character to take an audience with the Fathomless rather than be devoured by them?
Get one.
All right, let's do this confrontation. So, Eamon, you're standing near the helm, and without even being prompted, Nathaniel the bosun just says, "All sails are back." And the way comes off the ship, and you're motionless on the swell.
Tuck in. It's gonna be a rough night.
And I think that's probably the moment where you see Clement's head and then the rest of him coming up the stairs onto the quarterdeck where you're standing.
Captain.
Whistler.
You've been confined to quarters. Were you released? Or did you leave of your own volition?
I was released.
By Oscar?
Reaches out and puts a hand on your shoulder. Are you ready?
Captain, is what I think going to happen?
Do you have faith? Because if you do, then that is the only thing that matters.
I thought I had faith. And then I met the beings that made me question what I was having faith in. So now I don't know what I have. I have more knowledge. I have faith in something. But my aims stay true. I want to see this crew safe above and beyond all things.
And Clement just nods.
Can we avoid what happened with the Solano? I can understand that you were able to commune with something so much grander than us, but...
That's up to you, and it's up to them. Do you have faith?
I was told I had to make a choice between the land and the sea. I think I made my choice. I'm a sailor. I've always have, always been. Even after the Solano. Not all the boys that survived could get on boats afterwards. Some of them stayed on land back in Australia. I always thought it was strange how easy it was for me to get right back out on the ocean. So maybe I made my choice then. But I know who I am, and I know that there's more to the world than that. So if that's faith, then yeah, I have it.
And reach up with his other hand and like take you like back of your neck and like pull you in pretty close. All right then.
All right, Captain. I didn't mean you no disrespect or harm with what happened. It's just when I walked in there and I saw that dead body, with the way the lot of you were acting. Wouldn't you have done the same?
Once.
Aye, once. It's strange, I understand that now.
And just meet your eye for a second and then step back and like just yell whatever the command is to like get ready for a storm. If that's what's happening here.
It is.
Wow.
Can I add one detail? I feel like if the camera was looking at the painting of the 16th century sea monster, where no one's looking at it, it's just alone there on the wall with its eyes crossed out, that a single trickle of blood runs from one of its crossed out eye sockets.
Nice.
And as we pan back from the ship, right, and like get this like gorgeous just like storm in the background of it, the last thing we see is that figurehead on the front that is the same as the Solanos.
I really want to thank everybody. You guys are bringing it every week. It is a pleasure and an honor to share this with you. Thank you, everybody. We will meet again next week. I don't know how we're going to top this, but I didn't know how we were going to top last week either. So there you have it. All right, folks. Good night.
You're back now, maybe.
Yeah, my signal's less than great right now. How am I now?
Better, I think.
I will introduce you to one of my fondest phrases. I'll fix it in post.
Not so easy, is it, Whistler?
No, it really isn't. I never like being the captain. I don't.
Well, you don't have to be.
No, you're right. No, it's like a curse.
Is Angus the sort of person who enjoys cataloging?
I don't think it comes super naturally to him, but that's super spaced naturally. I suppose I should clarify in this game.
I'm a
in this game, yes, you should definitely clarify those.
All right.
He means cult in the purely academic sense, of course.
That's kind of what I figured he meant.
I mean, Catholics will talk about their cult. It's not a completely. It doesn't have to be an occult meaning. It doesn't have to be an occult meaning. Doesn't have to be.
Yeah. But